Is your family tree a mystery? Are you fascinated by genealogy? Well, hip hip hooray, let's talk DNA with Julie.
The truth is in your genes.
In CutOff Genes.
Welcome to CutOff Genes, the podcast that helps you find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson, and I'm a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
And I'm Richard Castle, the co-host and producer of this lovely podcast. How you doing, Julie?
I am well, and you?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited because tomorrow is the first reading of the new musical I've been working on for, I don't know, over a year now.
I'm so excited for you.
And, you know, folks listening to the podcast, Julie is a great singer, and she recorded some of the demos for me right here in my home studio, and she did such a great job, and I have no doubt that her great performance has helped get me to this point. So thank you,
So
Julie.
in the reading, are they just going to be reading the script and playing the songs, or are they singing the songs too?
No, they're actually. I thought they were going to be playing the songs, you know, reading it out loud, and then
just playing it.
But apparently, they had a rehearsal last week, a music rehearsal, and they're rehearsing tomorrow morning before the reading, and then they're going to be performing them live there.
Cool.
So it'll be nice to hear different people singing it besides you.
Yeah.
I'll compare them to you. I'll be like,
Always.
You know, and Julie did this.
They'll never be Julie.
But anyway, wish me luck, folks.
Luck, folks. Yeah, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to hear how it goes.
I'll let you know.
I'm sure it'll be great.
What's going on with you?
Nothing.
Well, then what's going on with DNA?
Well, okay. I had a message from a listener, Kathleen Musser-Williams, who has a request that when interviewing someone before it starts, can we tell them how many parts it will be?
Well, that's actually pretty good. I agree with that.
I'm wondering if she's saying that because she hates cliffhangers and she wants to listen to it all in one thing. A lot of people do that. Maybe she just wants to binge it so that she doesn't forget what was happening before that.
Maybe, but you know, you sort of get yourself in the mindset like you're going to listen to a story, and you think, oh, this is the whole story. And then you realize, oh, no, I've got to commit to another part. So, you know, you sort of want to know what you're getting into. Am I going into the movie? Am I going in to see a 90-minute film or a 3-hour movie? I need to kind of know so I can set aside the time and the energy. So that you can
etch out some time.
Well, you know, when you're going through your movie collection and you just at home and you go like, what do I feel like watching tonight? And you go, oh, let's watch, you know, My Fair Lady. Oh, gee, I don't know, 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's already 10 o'clock. I don't think I can make it, but I could probably get through, you know, something real short.
Here's the thing, though, with podcasts, I have them in my ears all the time. I guess because I can. I have so much not when I'm working because I have to be able to focus. But if I'm doing mindless housework, which there's a lot of in my life, I enjoy it much more if I have podcasts in my ears.
I do too.
And I'm more motivated to keep going.
I like how when I'm listening to podcasts while vacuuming, I can just not have to listen to the sound of the vacuum, which I hate. So I can hear But you know what? I like to listen to kind of bite-sized podcasts, or at least podcasts that I can take in little bits at a time. Like call in, where people call in for advice or something.
Oh, yeah.
Then you can hear one call and one answer and go, okay, well, if I pick this up later, I'm not going to forget where we were.
Right.
You know?
Can we go back and talk about the vacuum cleaner?
Sure.
That's so funny. I had a visceral reaction when you said that.
What kind of is that when you
This
vomited
is a really
off to the
weird,
side?
No, yes. Did you notice?
I did. That's why I keep that bucket there.
I have this thing about vacuum, the sound of a vacuum cleaner, and I find it soothing.
Really?
And when it turns off and winds down, I feel disappointed.
Wow.
You want to know why?
Yes, I do.
Because when I was a kid, I would follow when my mother was vacuuming, I could sing at the top of my lungs in the house.
When it was on.
And no one would tell me to be quiet. And it wasn't just her because it was already the vacuum on.
Wow.
And that is, honestly, I think that's why I like white noise so much now.
That's so interesting. But, you know, Well, I'll tell you two things about that. One is I don't like the noise of a vacuum cleaner, but I love the lines that it makes in my carpet because that it just makes me think it's clean. I even had an old vacuum cleaner that really didn't pick up anything, but it still made the lines on the carpet, and it just made me think everything was clean.
Yeah, I haven't really. I don't get that satisfaction because we have no carpet in our house.
Right. Well,
because we have dogs.
Yes.
Well, you do too,
Yeah.
but we don't even have rugs because my little dog likes to mark everything.
But the second thing I want to say about that is I completely relate to what you said about like wanting, the fact that you could sing while the vacuum cleaner was going and no one would tell you to be quiet. Because I used to practice the piano at home. And when my grandmother was visiting, Lord knows nobody wants to hear somebody practice the piano because you keep going over the same part over and over and over again. You repeat it till you learn it. So, it's interesting when you're learning it because that you're in the act of learning. But for somebody who's in the room or in the next room and you just keep hearing the same dun, 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 over and over again, it's annoying. And boy, did she let me know it was annoying. And so I would always I'm very self-conscious when I practice. And of course, now I'm able to practice with headphones on and not bother anybody. But I get that idea of like when you're trying to express yourself, your talent or your whatever, your artistic sense, and somebody tells you to be quiet, it's a little...
Yeah, it's a bit of a trigger.
A bit of a trigger. I get, so I totally relate to what you just said.
Okay,
No wonder why we're such good friends,
That's
Julie.
why. That is why.
We both have a lot of issues.
Understatement of the year.
Yes.
Okay, guys, we all saw it coming. You knew it was going to happen eventually. Are you ready?
Yes.
Couple files lawsuit against fertility clinic after someone else gives birth to their biological child.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot about it on Facebook recently.
Tell me. I've heard parts of this,
Yeah.
and I thought, I knew at some point we would probably talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah, so a California couple says they've endured a living hell after a fertility clinic mix-up resulted in another woman giving birth to their son through in vitro fertilization.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that's just...
You've got one job to do, Mr.
Fertility
Clinic.
Fertility. So they're suing, obviously, for medical malpractice and negligence against CHA Fertility in Los Angeles, claiming that the clinic mixed up embryos and implanted one in a New York woman who gave birth to this woman. Her name is Manukian's biological son.
Oh, my God.
The couple says they discovered the mix-up because the New York couple, who are Korean-American, gave birth in March to two boys who did not appear to be of Asian descent, according to a separate lawsuit filed by the New York couple.
And the New York couple assumed that they were having a baby from their
They thought they were having twins,
Okay.
Which they did, and girls. In fact, it says the New York couple, who identified only by their initials, thought they were having two girls and was shocked when they ended up having a pair of boys.
And they thought they were having their own children that they had gone to the fertility clinic.
Same clinic.
So it wasn't like they were using a donated egg or sperm. Okay, I see. Wow.
Yeah, one of the boys was the Manukians. The other belonged to an unidentified third couple. So they don't have either of those kids now.
Oh, my God.
It's horrible. The Manukians didn't get to meet their son until he was 6 weeks old.
And she carried the babies, like all that time. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
and you bond with a child, and it's inside you, I would imagine.
It's horrible.
I can't even...
It's horrible. The New York couple who said in their lawsuit they were never told what happened to their own embryos. They still don't know what happened to their own embryos. Initially wanted to keep the babies, but eventually returned them to their biological parents. Ouch! Ani Manukian says, I wasn't there for his birth. I didn't carry him. I didn't feel him kick inside me. Nobody should meet their baby in the lobby of a hotel. Okay, the couple said the fertility clinic had them take a DNA test in April for what the clinic claimed was a quality control test. Didn't control that quality.
Do you think?
Yeah. Ani Manukian said they were called into the clinic the next day and told about the mix-up and informed that their son had been born 2 weeks earlier. She said, they said, yeah, a woman gave birth to twins and one of them is yours.
Just one. I wonder,
just one.
Again, how does that happen? I mean, they must have coded it incorrectly or,
I don't know.
Wow. Well, you know what? This reminds me.
Oh, do tell.
Of a kind of a famous Dick Van Dyke episode. You remember the Dick Van Dyke?
And here we are.
Yeah, of course. Well, of course, I'm a encyclopedia of worthless knowledge. And here we go.
A veritable reservoir of useless information, if you will.
Yes, I'm not a swirling maelstrom of
Feminine supremacy
like you are,
Yeah.
but I'm a swirling maelstrom of unnecessary pop culture references. And here I
You
go.
would be great on any trivia team.
You think?
Yeah, let's do trivia.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but on this Dick Van Dyke Show,
Yes.
For Mary Tyler Moore just had her baby, and for some reason, Dick Van Dyke feels like it's not his. It's that they took the wrong baby home from the hospital, and so they I forget what the evidence was and why he thought it. And of course, he goes crazy and contacts this other couple that had a baby at the same time in the hospital and calls them up and says, "Could you please come over? I think we have your baby." And like this whole thing. And so the big joke at the end of the episode is when the couple shows up and of course, Mary Tyler Moore saying, "Oh, come on, this is our baby." She doesn't believe it at all. She thinks he's crazy. So this couple shows up at the door and they're African American. And it was real, and it's a great joke, right?
That is awesome.
It was really funny.
That's funny.
So here we are taking a horrific story about someone who...
And turning into a big fat joke.
No, this is just how my mind works. I think that's horrific, and what I do is to deflect it and to turn it around. I think of something funny
As
and
we all
entertaining.
do.
Yes.
And it gets us in trouble, frankly.
Yeah, well, I don't care about that.
I
know. Anyway.
Okay.
I got nothing more for that.
Me neither.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, I want to think about these poor people.
Okay. If you're enjoying Cutoff Jeans, please subscribe, rate, and review. Now, back to Julie and me.
Hey, we're back.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, let's do a listener question.
We had a listener comment in the last segment, but I guess a listener question is due.
Yes. This episode will be listener heavy. Not really. Okay, so Ferris Williams.
It's not heavy. He's my listener.
Good, very good.
I'm here all night, folks. Try the steak.
Tip your waiter. Okay, so Ferris Williams asked about back in the day, like the 1850s, when people were moving across the country in wagons and it took months. How did that work during census years? Were they just counted where they were? So Ferris, because you asked, I took a deep dive, as I do, and I really never came up with that specific answer.
Right.
So we have to go to common sense for that. And what I did discover was federal marshals back then were the ones who carried out the census. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But that's a really good question because I would, even without people moving around, of course, people are always moving around. How do you count them?
Well,
without the technology that we have.
Well, back then, U.S. Marshals were the ones who did it. They were also known for witness protection and hunting fugitives, but they also took the census. So what I did was, in discovering this, I found something called 10 Things You May Not Know About the U.S. Census.
Oh, I like that.
It's fun.
Yes.
So I thought, let's just turn this into a segment about the census. The census is fascinating, you guys, and it's so helpful with research. So let's talk about the census.
Yeah.
Shall we?
I saw the sixth census. Oh, no, wait. There was just one of them. Never mind.
Did they give away the ending? Oh, I didn't have a
No
good bit for that.
spoilers. No spoilers. So, yes, okay. The census has been in the news recently, too, because we're about to have another one.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's every 10 years.
And also in about 3 years, we get the 1950 census, which means that you're not going to see genealogists for several weeks.
Because they're all beholed up
Yes.
looking at the...
It's huge.
I love the idea that every 10 years you end up getting like this treasure trove of information
Yes.
from the past.
It's very exciting.
It's as if you had dug up like a time capsule full of stuff, but it's information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. All right. Number 1, the census is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution calls for an enumeration to be made of the populace within every subsequent term of 10 years. The Constitution, you guys. Right. The United States was one of the first modern countries to count all of its citizens and not just, say, military-age males. It was also the first country to constitutionally mandate a regular census and the first to use the census for apportioning political power.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
To this day, the number of seats each state holds in the House of Representatives depends entirely on election results.
Well, I mean, The census results.
It says election results, but I think it meant census results.
I mean,
That doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Jesse Greenspan, Jesse Greenspan from the History Channel wrote this. I wonder if it's a typo.
It sounds like it, unless we've taken it out of context. But you just read it, so I don't think so.
To this day, the number of seats each state holds in the House of Representatives depends entirely on election. Yeah, it should say census results because you're enumerating how many people are in each state.
Exactly, and it's about the whole thing is about the census. Of course, it depends on the election.
Well, I'm glad we caught that.
Yes, we just did a corrections corner for somebody that isn't even on our show. We're correcting everybody today.
Mr. Greenspan. Okay. The second one was the federal marshals used to carry it out, which we've already covered. And basically they would go on horseback around the country and would find probably encampments for people who were traveling and take the census there.
I always wondered, like back in the Little House on the Prairie days, how did they go when people lived in the middle of nowhere and there were no roads and, how did they go and count them? So that's really fascinating.
Federal marshals.
Yeah, there you go.
That actually changed. Actually, let's go back to that. As a result, U.S. Marshals were required by an act of Congress to count inhabitants in their respective districts. As a result, they hired roughly 650 assistants for the first census in 1790 and sent them door to door, more often than not in extremely rural terrain. Assistant marshals continued in this role for nearly a century, but in 1879, concerns over census inefficiencies at last prompted Congress to replace them with specially trained enumerators. Congress then further professionalized the count in 1902 by creating a permanent government agency, the U.S. Census Bureau.
Wow.
There you go.
Who knew?
Who knew?
I mean, I'm sure someone knew, but I didn't. But it's fascinating.
Did you know that the bottom half of a birth certificate, when you fill out a birth certificate application at the hospital, the bottom half is strictly for the Census Bureau? It's never on the birth certificate?
No, really?
Yes. At least it was when I was a birth certificate clerk at Hoag Hospital.
It makes sense, though, right? Because that's a new person that they want to count.
Yep. Okay.
I'm more interested to know that you were
a birth certificate clerk at Hoag Hospital.
Yes, that's a career I didn't know about, Julie.
That's one of my all-time favorite jobs.
When did you do that?
When I was in college. I think I got that job right after you and I met.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
Well, I have no idea. You never talked about it.
Surely I've talked. I can't believe I haven't talked about it on here because birth certificates. I didn't even get the irony back then.
I don't think you've gotten it for the last 63 episodes because I don't think you've ever mentioned that because this is news to me.
That's weird.
Yes, and we've talked a lot about hospitals and births and mix-ups and counting and all that stuff. So
what's wrong with me?
I don't know.
Yeah, I loved that job, and at times when I've been looking after I had my kids, when I've been looking for part-time work just to get out of the house type of thing.
Yeah.
I've thought that would be the ideal job for me again.
Right.
Because at the time I was really good at it. It was a mixture of having an office job but getting to talk to people all day.
Right.
And it was generally happy.
Yeah, because people are happy when they've given birth and they have a baby, and
But keep in mind that I literally would walk into somebody's room and help them hand fill out the form. Then I would go into the basement of the hospital or the archives and sit in front of my typewriter. And put in a blank birth certificate.
Right. And
roll it in there, fill it out, typing, and then take it back to them and have them sign it and then have the doctor sign it.
Wow. I wonder if now they just come in with it like a tablet and just
I think they probably do.
Right? Or just scan something.
Yeah, I don't. I ask everybody I know that works in a hospital, I ask them if there's a birth certificate clerk there.
It's probably under the umbrella of some other kind of record keeping because I
worked for medical records.
Yeah.
But that was my complete job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good times.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else about the census?
Well, some founding fathers doubted the census accuracy.
Well, I mean, I wonder if it could ever really be 100%.
Completely accurate.
I don't think
even
anything
today.
could. There's got to be some kind of plus or minus.
Sure. The first census turned up only 3.9 million non-Indian Americans, including nearly 700,000 slaves. As a result, that President George Washington, Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson, and other high-ranking government officials dismissed as an undercount.
Did they count the slaves as well?
No.
No?
Wait a minute. No.
Because they certainly would not have counted them as...
it did include them.
it included them, but they probably, because if it was to apportion the vote, of course the slaves had no freedom and no vote.
Well, there was. If you go back and look at the census from that time,
yes,
the slaves were listed not as people, but as property.
Right.
And there weren't names. It would say
something?
2 children, 5 and 8.
Right.
1 single, blah blah blah, and it was horrible.
Isn't that horrifying? It's like seeing the slave auction.
Yes.
Advertisements. It's horrific.
Yeah.
Horrific.
It was awful.
But I mean, I love seeing that stuff because it reminds you of what it was, and these documents are real and they existed, and just like you
not
said,
that long ago.
No, not. We're talking about all of human history, not that long. So yes.
Here we go. Number 4. Some census results have gone up in smoke, a.k.a. fire.
Oh yeah.
Early census records from several states, including Delaware, Georgia, Kentucky, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia, have been lost to history. No one knows for sure what happened to them, but the prevailing theory holds that they were destroyed when British forces torched Washington, D.C. during the War of 1812.
Yeah, good guess.
Yeah. That would do it. Also, and all genealogists know this, more than 99% of the 1890 census records are also gone, the result of a 1921 fire at the Commerce Department. Yeah, that's a bummer. The census was an early user, number 5, the census was an early user of both proto-computers and real computers. Statistician Herman Hollerith began looking for a time-saving solution after census workers needed nearly a decade to process the results of the 1880 population count. By 1887, he'd invented an electric tabulating machine that could read data from holes on paper punch cards. It provided a great success, reducing census tabulation time by 2/3, and soon was being sold to government agencies, utilities, manufacturers, and railroads around the world. His business later became part of IBM.
That makes sense. I remember those punch cards.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you were, maybe, I don't know if
Nope.
they did this in Australia, but we used to have these standardized tests we would take in school, elementary school,
yeah.
where you had to fill out the whole, these little circle. You had to use a pencil, and it had to be this, and you
Yeah,
couldn't
we
go
didn't do
outside.
that in Australia.
They were all to be read by computer. And it's probably not that much more advanced than what they did in whatever it was in 18-something.
I have 2 words for you.
What is that?
Hanging chads.
Yes.
Okay. Number 7, New York has always been the largest U.S. city.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, that's just from the census. They know this.
Yes, that has the most people in it, which put it just ahead of Philadelphia as the most populous U.S. city. Number 8, the largest state, on the other hand, occasionally changes. Virginia started out as the most populous state back when there were only 13 of them, with a 1790 population of around 700,000. Number 9, only one state lost population during the last census period. Do you have a guess? It's not obvious.
Well, I was going to say California because I thought a lot of people were moving up because it was too expensive.
That would make sense.
I bet that'll happen in the next census.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it obviously wasn't California. What was it?
Michigan.
I would never have known that.
No, I don't know
Do you
why.
think well-
you know why? A decline that experts largely attributed to job losses in the auto industry.
Yeah.
Probably the water problem, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The census, number 10, the census is not cheap for taxpayers.
I would imagine.
Though the inaugural census cost just $44,000 to conduct, the price tag has since ballooned to an estimate of $6.5 billion in 2000 and $12.9 billion in 2010.
I would like to see the breakdown on those costs. That sounds like a lot. It's amazing when we have so much technology. And I know it's not cheap to count everybody in the whole country.
Right.
But with all the technology we have, it's amazing to me that it has ballooned that much.
Yeah. That would be actually another interesting job for me.
Census counter?
A census taker. That's a job that comes around every 10 years.
Right.
And I guess you're assigned. I'm not sure how they do it now, but back in the olden days, people were paid by how many pages they filled out, I think.
Okay.
And they but they weren't necessarily accurate. They would just write down whatever somebody said to them. And they also weren't necessarily good spellers. So we play a lot in guessing games when we look at old census.
I'm sure we
Census.
do. I do remember someone coming to my door when I was a kid, saying they were from the census.
Did you feel like saying, none of your business?
Get out of here.
It is funny that that's what you do, and nowadays nobody wants to answer their door.
Oh, yeah, never.
You know,
no, I don't
unless
want to
it's
answer.
Amazon.
I don't even answer my phone. So like, just text me.
Right. Maybe we can do the census by text.
Maybe so.
Actually, I think maybe they're making it so you can do it online.
I'm sure they will, but then again, you have to look at, well, how about the people who aren't online or people who don't have computers? I mean, there are some.
Yeah.
I know they do, like, when they go around to do a homeless count in L.A., they have to go, all over the place, under bridges and
I know.
homeless encampments and things like
I
that. And
know.
those people need to be counted as
Yeah.
well if we're trying to get an accurate number.
My friend Amy works for the LA City Council, and she works for homeless rehoming, and part of her job once a month is to do a homeless count.
Yeah, because how can you fix the problem if you don't know how big the problem is?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to ponder that while we take a break.
Good idea.
Thank you for listening to CutOff Genes with Julie Dixon Jackson and Richard Castle. That's me.
Okay, story time.
This is part 2, right? But
Part 2 of Jill
week,
Gounder's.
your friend.
Yes, conversation. When last we left off, we were discussing how she felt about nature versus nurture, and she had also been given from Mother's Day from her daughter's adoptive mother a series of albums of pictures of her child growing up.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
It is. So let's hear the rest of this.
I turned the page and I was just having a great time looking at these because I'm sitting having coffee watching my child grow up, and I turned the page and there's her in a little tutu with a spider web on the front of the leotard under the tutu with her arms up in the air, and I went, okay, I'm done. I can't.
This is so great. I love these stories where I can talk to different parts of the triad, and it's so great to have somebody, a birth mom, talk, because that's so rare. I think probably because you are a little. Well, you weren't a teenager, were you, when you had her? Although you look like a teenager now, so I don't know how you couldn't have been. It's true. It's true, everybody.
I keep looking at myself in the mirror going, how can I have a 36-year-old? You have a 36-year-old.
Yeah, I can't believe that either. A lot of the birth moms that I work with are older, and they had them in the 50s and 60s, and it was such a different time.
I was 23 when I had her.
Right. And so you weren't sent anywhere and bullied, and
I hid,
all of that
but
stuff.
I wasn't sent.
Did you hide?
It was my own preservation. Basically.
Did you hide from your parents?
I did.
Did they never know?
No.
Oh, wow.
They never knew. Well, I shouldn't say that. They did know.
Okay.
They were told in I just feel it should have been me, and it wasn't.
Oh, somebody else told them.
And they collectively decided that they would allow me to say something to them. And since it was my decision, I decided not to.
Okay.
I didn't want to be the disappointment.
Yeah.
I didn't want to embarrass them, because the 50s parents.
Yeah.
That was a stigma.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I'd hoped to save them a little heartache.
Sure.
My father's now passed, but my mother, obviously I had to tell her, and I wanted to wait till I got there. I wanted to do it face to face.
Yep.
And then April Fool's came along, and my roommate brought home a big balloon that said, "It's a girl."
I saw that on Facebook.
And so I got a hold of her and I said, "I want to do this." And I said, "But I got to tell Mom first." And I said, "I'm not really sure I'm ready for that." She said, "Give me your number. I'll do it." I'm like, "Oh, that'll be good." And so I called her. And in my mother's true fashion, we talked about it for about 5 minutes, and then she said, "So I got the patio furniture all washed down." And I went, "Okay, I see. We just need to go beyond this because she's going to have to process it." Then she told me she was mad at me. This is a little while later. She told me she was mad at me.
Did she know that you had given up a child already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but now we're
like
going
I said,
back.
they were waiting for me to come to them.
Oh, I see.
And I never did.
Oh, so you had never talked about it. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
So that's kind of the way our family handled things.
Yeah.
If
A
it
lot
was
of families
uncomfortable,
do.
we didn't handle it.
Oh.
I mean, we didn't talk about it.
Yep.
We talked about the weather or something. But
If we don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she was mad at me.
Okay.
She was mad for not trusting her. She was mad for not telling her. There was a lot of mad going on there. And she said, I just need to process this. Okay, fair enough. So did I. You know? And then when I was home to visit her, she said that anger gave way to her feeling like a bad parent. Like she allowed me to get in trouble, and she wasn't a good enough parent that I would have trusted her to have that information. And I said, I get it, but we're going to stop making this about you.
Yeah.
It's kind of about me. And we can either be mad, we can regret, we can do anything you want. But in the long run, I have a daughter, you have a granddaughter, let's enjoy her.
That's great.
And she said, okay, I'm over it.
Oh, that's so great.
So,
Have they met?
They've not met yet. We've FaceTime.
Okay.
We do FaceTime.
Okay.
They're coming, as in, I'm going to meet her parents, her brother and his girlfriend, and the two of them are all coming to Cleveland in September. And they're all going to come see the show. So I'll get to meet more of the family then.
Okay.
And
Do you want to give a plug for the show that you're on right now?
I am doing the Book of Mormon.
Yay! We love the Book of Mormon.
I know, so do I.
It's so much fun.
It's
That
so
must be
much
a
fun.
blast.
And it's because it's so much fun and so funny. It's the reason I'm still here 6.5 years later. We opened a company in Chicago,
Okay.
December of 2012.
And you've been with that same company?
I've been with the same company.
Very cool.
Yeah, there's 4 of us left off stage that are original, and 1 left on stage that's original. So,
Just one last thing. Did you ever feel the need to go into therapy or talk about it or read about it or anything like that?
no.
Okay.
Again, the way we handle things in my family is just internalize it. You don't need any help.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. You're good. Every Mother's Day, I'd break down in tears. Every February 8th on her birthday, I would be nauseous all over again. It never went away. It eased. I have certain people in my life who knew about this, including my best friend who has been with me along every journey and vice versa since 1981.
Who was with you in the hospital?
Nobody. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I did it all.
Oh.
I did it all.
My God. I can't imagine.
In fact, she and I laughed about this because when they were here, I took them on the tour of my apartment and where I had the car parked because when I went into labor,
Of the apartment you lived in at the time. Okay.
Exactly. I went downstairs and took my little bag that I had packed in my car keys, and I went downstairs and I was driving to the hospital.
Were you already in labor?
Yeah. And the car didn't start. I got the hood up and I'm,
You're such a badass.
I thought I was an idiot at the time, but I look back and go, yeah, you were badass, weren't you?
Oh, my God.
And I'm looking for anything that might be disconnected and, checking the oil. Did I lose it? Is it leaking? And finally I went, this isn't working. I got to go call the doctor. And he came and picked me up.
Oh, my gosh.
Bless his heart.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So you were, that kind of strength that took doing this all by yourself.
It didn't seem like strength at the time, but like I said, looking back, you go, woof.
Yeah.
Damn, girl.
Yeah. Does your daughter know who her father is?
Yes.
And is she looking for him, or is she?
We have located him.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I certainly didn't. I didn't know where he was. I mean, I knew where he was last time I knew where he was.
Yeah. Did he know about her?
No.
Okay.
No. Another decision that I made for very good reasons. She created an email and said, okay, I have contacted his daughter and we don't have to do anything, but I've written this email. I don't have to send it. It was all the disclaimers. She said, you're the one I wanted. Yeah. She said, I found you. This is just bonus. And so through her, now we know half-sister, contacted him. Bless his heart, he had just come out of the hospital having lung surgery of some sort. I'm surprised we didn't put him back in with a heart attack with that email. And he called me immediately and said, do you know who this person is? I said, well, of course I do. Gave birth to her 36 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And they're in touch. Her half-sister just had a child, so, they're talking about babies and fertility and all that kind of stuff. So, she has that now, which is great. Her sister is an accomplished actor and singer and all that as well.
Really?
As is her father. And, now she's got me and she's got, Jody, all of us in theater. And she said, why can't I sing?
You can't have everything.
You can. We'll fix that.
Yeah, right.
I'll get you a coach. Yeah, so her whole family's in show business, and she said, I know nothing about it. I said, don't worry, you will.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that for
Yeah,
you.
it's osmosis type.
So she has not met him yet. He was supposed to come drive to visit them, and again, another lung surgery. So it was, it'll happen eventually.
Yep.
But I don't know if it's going to be the kind of relationship that she and I have. I think it's going to be,
you just never know.
a couple times a year high.
Yeah. We all get to, I think a lot of people have pie in the sky ideas of how it's going to be. And she hit the jackpot with you, let me just say.
Thanks.
It's true. And vice versa. So, well, Jill B. Gounder.
That's me.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to me and coming. I'm at her house, by the way, for being on the show. And thank you for providing the voice of a biological mother. I think it's so important in this triad.
I hope more come forward for you.
I do too. I really do. Thank you so much.
Of course.
The end. Thank you so much, Jill B. Gounder.
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah.
That was nice to hear. And now we're going to hear from her daughter next week. Wow.
Starting next week, Caroline.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I love when we get more points of view on the same story.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Yeah. Let's get out of here.
In that case, I am Richard Castle, and when I am not podcasting, I am, playing the piano or writing musicals or writing songs.
Making me sing.
Making Julie sing, and which she does brilliantly.
Oh.
Really. And you can find me on the Twitter at Castle Songs, or you can go to my website, and it's richardcastle.com.
All right, I'm Julie Dixon Jackson on the Twitter at Jules Jackson with 2 O's. Find the podcast on Twitter at CutOff Jeans Pod. Find the Facebook group and join it. CutOff Jeans Podcast. Answer the question. I'll probably let you in. You can send me an email, julesjackson at cutoffjeans.com if you have any questions or would like to participate in the Epic Odyssey stories. I love talking to you guys. Every story is different and every story is amazing. And on that note, it's time to leave, but don't forget, the truth is in your jeans.